Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent power that governs every dream ever achieved, every goal ever reached, and every miracle ever witnessed. That power is faith in the process. In a world where instant gratification is worshipped, I invite you today to do the harder thing, to trust the invisible staircase and keep climbing. Let me be clear, your miracle is already in motion, but it travels the path of patience, persistence, and purpose. It does not answer to panic. It does not respond to doubt. It comes only to those who refuse to quit when nothing seems to be happening. Every extraordinary outcome begins with a single internal ignitioning. Desire, but not a passing fancy, not a weak wish that evaporates at the first sign of difficulty. No, I'm talking about burning desire. A desire so intense it keeps you awake at night, consumes your thoughts during the day, and pushes you to action even when everything in you wants to quit. This kind of desire is not optional. It's the prerequisite. It's the fire that heats the iron of discipline, melts the chains of fear, and forges the will to pursue the impossible. Without it, the process has no fuel. Without it, nothing moves, because you won't move. Here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because their desire is lukewarm, tepid, soft. And the process does not answer to soft. When the universe bends for those who are obsessed, who are willing to stake their comfort, their excuses, and even their current identity for the sake of the vision they refuse to let die. Desire must be so strong that it overrides logic. It must be so consuming that you feel sick at the thought of not achieving your dream. When that level of hunger lives in you, you will naturally begin to align your actions, your time, your habits, and your associations to that desire. It rewires your behavior from the inside out. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You start to say no to distractions. And most importantly, you don't quit because something in you refuses to. You have to want your dream like a drowning man wants air. You have to want it so badly that rejection becomes redirection, obstacles become fuel, and waiting becomes preparation. This is the point where desire begins to transform into discipline. Because now it's no longer a choice, it's your reason for existing. When your desire is burning, you don't need external motivation. You become self-generating. People will ask, why do you keep going? And you won't even be able to explain it logically. You'll just say, because I must. That's when you know it's real. That's when the process starts to move with you. That's when doors you didn't even knock on begin to open, because you're radiating the one thing the universe cannot, ignoring a soul on fire. Burning desire is not just the starting point. It is the sustaining force behind every triumph, every breakthrough, every so-called overnight success. That was actually years in the making. Cultivate it, fan it, protect it. Feed it daily until it becomes your identity, because once you become your dream, you'll no longer chase it. It will find you. The moment you make a true decision, everything begins to change. I don't mean when you say you've decided. I mean when you feel it in your bones, when there is no more wavering, when the inner conflict dies, and you are finally all in. That kind of decision is rare. Most people never make it. They live in hesitation, in limbo, in maybe. Let me think about it. And that is exactly why they stay stuck. Indecision is the breeding ground of fear. It weakens your will. It clouds your mind. It makes you vulnerable to doubt, distraction, and other people's opinions. A person who cannot decide is a person who cannot progress. You cannot walk forward with 2 feet planted in uncertainty until you decide who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to do for it. Everything in your life will remain negotiable. But decision changes everything. Decision is power. It is the clean break between who you were and who you're becoming. When you make a true decision, you cut off all other possibilities. You don't try to succeed. You resolve to. You don't hope it works. You make it work. And you don't ask, what if I fail? Because failure is no longer on the menu. It doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means you've taken it off the table as an excuse to quit. People who win at life are not always the smartest or the most gifted, but they are the most decisive. They make bold, clear choices and take full responsibility for them. They don't get paralyzed by the unknown. They don't wait for guarantees. They act. And once they act, they adapt. But they never linger in that gray zone where nothing grows. The process only accelerates for those who decide. When you become definite, the universe starts clearing paths, aligning people and opening doors you couldn't see when you were still wavering. Life responds to clarity. It resists confusion. The longer you delay a decision, the more you invite resistance into your life. Make no mistake, not deciding is a decision to stay where you are, a decision to allow life to happen to you instead of through you. And it costs more than you can imagine, not just in time or money, but in energy, in confidence, in years you'll never get back. You don't need all the answers to decide. You don't need the perfect plan. You need courage. You need conviction. You need to say, this is where I'm going, and I will either find a way or I will build one. Once you do that, everything else starts aligning. Not because the path got easier, but because you got stronger. Decision is the moment your life divides into two parts, the life you were living and the life you were meant to live. And only one question matters now: are you willing to choose? Because until you do, the miracle cannot begin. Faith is not a soft word. It is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is a force, real, raw, and unshakable. It is the internal power that allows you to keep walking when there is no sign, no evidence, no visible reason to continue. It is the bridge between the world you can touch and the one you are building brick by invisible brick. Without faith, the process stalls. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable. Every great achievement was once just an idea, unseen, unheard, intangible. The skyscraper was once a sketch. The breakthrough was once a theory. The dream was once only alive in one person's heart. So understand this: everything begins in the unseen. The physical is just the final stage of creation. The real work, the foundational work, happens in the quiet spaces where only faith can hear it. Faith is what holds you up when results haven't shown up. It's the inner agreement you make with your future self, saying, I believe in what's coming so deeply that I will act as if it's already done. It's refusing to shrink your vision just because your current circumstances don't match it. It's standing in the storm and declaring, this is not my final chapter. And make no mistake, there will be storms. The process is designed to test your belief. There will be delays, closed doors, and moments where everything in your reality screams, give up. And in those moments, logic will fail you. Motivation will vanish. And only faith, pure, stubborn, unwavering faith, will keep you moving. Faith is not passive. It is active. It shows up in what you do after the disappointment. It lives in how you talk when no one is watching. It speaks through your actions when it feels like nothing is working. Faith is not pretending the hardship doesn't exist. It is knowing the hardship cannot stop you, because you've already seen the outcome, in your spirit, in your mind, in your imagination. And once you've seen it there, you can't unsee it. This is where most people fold. They want guarantees before they move. But faith doesn't wait for the outcome to prove itself. It creates the outcome through motion. When you act in faith, you send a message. I trust the process. I trust the timing. I trust what's being built in the dark. And that trust is magnetic. That trust activates things you cannot yet explain. Your words matter here. Your self-talk matters. What you rehearse in your mind day after day becomes the world you eventually step into. So speak as if your miracle is already in motion. Think like the person who already has what you're working toward. That's how you bring the unseen into view. That's how you collapse the distance between where you are and where you're meant to be. There will be no applause during this part, no external validation, no confirmation that you're on the right track. And yet, this is where your power is formed, in the silence, in the delay, in the repetition, because when you keep showing up in faith, your character evolves, your spirit hardens, your vision sharpens, and one day, without warning, the miracle appears, not because it suddenly happened, but because you finally became the person who could hold it. So keep the vision alive. Keep believing in what you cannot yet touch. That's not foolishness. That's mastery. That's alignment with the way every great thing is built. Faith is the currency of creation. Use it like it's already yours. Persistence is the great separator. It is the difference between the few who make it and the many who almost did. Everyone starts with excitement. Everyone begins with hope. But the ones who win, they are the ones who refuse to stop. Period. They outlast the doubts, outwork the fatigue, and outlive the setbacks. Because they understand one thing that most never grasp: nothing works unless you do, and nothing lasts unless you persist. This journey, this process, is not built for the faint-hearted. It's built for the ones who keep showing up when the spotlight is off, when the crowd is gone, when the motivation is dried up and all that's left is the whisper in your gut saying, "Don't quit yet." That whisper, that's your miracle testing you. That's the process asking, are you who you say you are? See, talent can take you far, but only persistence will take you all the way. Genius is wasted on those who give up early. Skill means nothing if you disappear when it gets hard. Dreams do not belong to the most gifted. They belong to the most determined. To those who made a decision to keep going long after the emotion they made that decision in has faded. Persistence doesn't mean never feeling doubt. It means acting in spite of doubt. It means getting up after the rejection. It means rewriting the plan after the setback. It means continuing to water the seed even when the soil still looks dry. You don't wait for the conditions to be perfect. You create momentum in imperfect moments. And over time, your consistency becomes a weapon. Persistence is lonely. It's often thankless. No one claps for the 100th repetition. No one notices the 5 a.m. effort, the quiet sacrifices, the invisible hours you pour into something that hasn't yet produced the results you crave. But the dream notices. The process notices. And it's those unnoticed moments that compound into breakthroughs. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, is laced with moments of brutal discouragement, times they could have walked away, times it made no sense to keep going. But they did. That's what you're really seeing when you witness greatness, a refusal to surrender. You have to build stamina for success. You have to learn how to keep climbing when the path disappears. You have to trust your steps, even in the dark. There will be days you feel like a fraud. Days when everything tells you to pivot, to downgrade your dream, to go back to normal. But normal is the death of greatness. And the minute you let up, and the minute you hesitate, the miracle gets pushed further away. Persistence is the insurance policy because it guarantees these, since if you do not stop, you will not be stopped. You may slow down, you may stumble, but you cannot lose if you refuse to quit. That's not a glitchin'. That's physics. That's life. You keep knocking. Eventually the door breaks open. Not by chance, but by pressure. So be relentless. Be unreasonable about your consistency. Be so committed that the process has no choice but to surrender to your will. The results may not come tomorrow. They may not come next month. But they will come, because you stayed when most walked away. And when your miracle arrives, it won't be luck. It will be proof. Proof that persistence pays every time. There is a silent force inside you right now, more powerful than your willpower, more consistent than your motivation, and more influential than your environment. It's your subconscious mind. And whether you realize it or not, it is working, right now, to either move you toward your miracle or quietly hold you back from it. It is the hidden engine behind every action, decision, and pattern in your life. It does not ask for your permission. It simply obeys your most repeated instructions. Your subconscious is always listening. It hears what you say to yourself when you're alone. It absorbs what you think you believe, and then it acts on it. Not once, but over and over until your thoughts become behaviors, your behaviors become habits, and your habits become your identity. And your identity, that becomes your reality. This is why you must treat your inner world with the same precision and care you'd give to a seed you plan to harvest. Because what you plant, you will reap, without fail. Here's the truth: most people ignoring the subconscious does not distinguish between truth and lie, right or wrong, helpful or destructive. It simply takes what you feed it and multiplies it. If you speak in limitation, it builds walls. If you speak in fear, it builds cages. If you speak in faith, it builds bridges. It's not emotional, it's obedient, which means your inner language, your self-talk, is not just talk, it's instruction, it's command. Every time you say, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "this is too hard," your subconscious goes to work making that your truth. But when you say, "I will," "I am ready," and "it's already mine," it begins to reshape your internal wiring to match that belief. Repetition is the tool. Affirmation is the access point. Visualization is the ignition. When you see your dream with clarity, when you feel it as already done, and when you rehearse it daily in your mind, your subconscious begins to accept it as fact. From that moment, it starts adjusting your behavior to make it real. You'll begin to notice things you never saw before. You'll attract people, ideas, and opportunities that align with your new inner blueprint. It will feel like magic, but it's not. It's alignment. Most people try to change their lives with willpower alone, forcing change on the outside without changing what runs on the inside. That's why they always bounce back to the same weight, the same income, the same struggles, because their inner programming hasn't changed. You can't outperform your identity, but when your subconscious believes the new reality, your life will rise to match it. Not because you forced it, but because it became natural. So what does this mean for your miracle? It means you must become the person who already has it. Now, think like them, speak like them, move like them. Train your subconscious to accept that version of you as normal, because once it becomes normal internally, it becomes inevitable externally. Guard your inputs. What you read, what you watch, what you say, these are all seeds. Feed your mind what supports the vision, not what undermines it. Doubt is viral. So is faith. Choose what you allow to grow. If you wouldn't plant weeds in your garden, don't speak poison into your own mind. This is the hidden advantage of the dreamer who understands the process. They don't just grind harder. They think sharper. They rewire themselves to expect success. And that expectation turns into preparation. And preparation opens the door to manifestation. Your subconscious is not your enemy, but it will be. If you leave it on autopilot, running old scripts of failure, fear, and shame, reprogram it. Speak life. Speak purpose. Speak vision. Not once, but daily, until the voice inside you is louder than the noise outside you. Because when your subconscious is aligned with your purpose, you are unstoppable. And that is when the miracle arrives, not as a surprise, but as a reflection. So what does it mean to trust the process? It means to plant the seed and not dig it up every day to check if it's growing. It means to act with intensity even when the world is silent. It means to walk in darkness with the confidence of light. You don't get to choose the timing of your miracle, but you do get to decide whether you'll be ready when it shows up. Hold the line. Stay in motion. Don't let your current situation convince your miracle isn't coming. It's already been dispatched. Now you must become the version of yourself who can receive it. Thank you.